Welcome back to Insight, everyone. We are talking about animals, and we have very, very different takes on the Michael Vick situation.
Yes.
Really is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He was in jail. I believe it was for 2 years. It might be a little bit more than that, a little less. For 2 years, but you agree that he should have been in jail for that long.
I absolutely do, yes.
And for our viewers who are coming back, can you just reiterate a little bit of why you think?
Sure. I think that the fact that he engaged in that type of behavior with using dogs as pawns for violence, I think it says a lot more about Michael Vick's character than people may realize. I think that, and I'm not saying that today he is the same person that he was. I feel like he, you know, based on what his behavior today, I think he's definitely rehabilitated and he understands the impact that he had. But I think he had to go through what he went through in order for him to realize what he did and perhaps appreciate the opportunity. Every time I hear him talking right now, he talks about appreciation and being a better person, and understanding the impact that he has not only on fans but children and, you know, and animal supporters.
Right, and I completely agree with that. He is talking more about that. But, okay, would it have, I mean, do you think he would have had the same, it would have had the same effect if he was in prison for maybe a year or 6 months? I mean, come on, some people hit somebody with a car for whatever, a DUI, and correct me on this if I'm wrong, and they don't get 2 years.
You might be right.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not agreeing with that. I think that if you hit somebody with a DUI, you deserve to serve.
Get hit by a DUI
a very long time.
You deserve to get hit too.
So, you know, so that it's two separate issues. But I just, you know, again, with having my background in psychology, and what Sandy said about serial killers and actually hurting animals, I think there's just a lack of empathy, and you know, it signifies some social behaviors. You can be a sociopath, or you know, becoming that as you grow older if you're hurting animals. But I think that, you know, at the end of the day, it really was a learning experience for him.
Right.
And
what about
because of the result that I see today, I feel like the punishment
served its purpose.
I mean, yeah, after 2 years, I'm sure he doesn't want it to happen to him again. I just feel that the term was way too long. And what about when people egg other people on to fight? Like if you're, let me take the example of myself. I was young, but when I was in middle school, I was sort of a tomboy. So if two people were fighting, at first I was like, yeah, you know, get her. I would be in class like, yeah, you're gonna fight her tomorrow? Fight her, you know?
Yeah, right.
Egging them on. I know it's, you know, we're talking about dogs here, but at the same time, and today I'm absolutely not a violent person. Like, I'm scared of knives. Like, I will only use a table knife, you know? I mean, I'll use a steak knife, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not a violent person. And I think it's the same take sometimes when people talk about kids who play video games, violent video games. Like, oh, it'll turn them into a violent person. Yeah, it may, but it also may not. So I know you say you have a psychology background, and that's, you know, and I love the advice that you're giving, but I'm saying, as far as the Michael Vick situation, why do you think that if he got a less of a term, it wouldn't have had the same effect?
Because why fix something that is not broken? If it worked, obviously the crime was punished with what needed to be punished with. And I think that, you know, if you ask him, perhaps he might say it was a little too long, but at the end of the day, again, it's the result. And he's really given back so much based on his experience, you know.
What is the penalty? Don't laugh, but chicken fighting, you know, that used to be like a real deal, right?
Horrible.
And it's totally outlawed. It used to be people would gamble and bet money or whatever. It's outlawed. Is the penalty in America for chicken fighting 2 years in jail? Because maybe the judge just looked back in history and said,
maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's 5 years.
I have a question. If we're talking about chicken fighting, why in this society do we refuse to eat dogs? And we eat chicken.
Because dogs are your family.
Okay, that's the same thing. So you're bringing out chickens, but you know, we don't.
When I was a kid, I had 10 pet chickens.
Right, but when they sentenced the man, it wasn't, oh, dogs are considered family. You can't make them fight. You know, like that was never a part of the issue.
The judge may have just looked and said, you know what, the penalty in the United States or in whatever state of Florida, or was it in Florida? Whatever state it was that he was in. I don't know what state
it was in. It's just 2 years is just too long for the man.
In the state of whatever, animal fighting is this penalty.
Right.
And we don't even have to delve into the issue too deep, but you know what? I mean, we're so culturally diverse here that we can even bring this up. They sentenced Michael Vick as a black man. I am willing to bet $1,000, all right, maybe 100, that that if Michael Vick was not black and that the same crime was committed, that he wouldn't have been sentenced to that long in prison.
You don't think so?
Oh, please. The justice system is so corrupt when it comes to, sentencing individuals based on their whatever ethnicity, cultural background, whatever you want to call it. And I've seen it. I mean, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, we'll be here all night. I think
do
that,
your research and you'll see.
Yeah, I agree that I think that as a society, and it's been written in real research studies that African Americans are punished harsher than a white counterpart.
Absolutely.
I'm not necessarily agreeing with you that in this instance it would have been different because he was black or not.
Absolutely.
But I think that at the end of the day, like I say, is just the fact that he really learned his lesson. I think he's a much better person based on what I see.
Right.
And it served a purpose.
He's absolutely a better person. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think that at first, I have to be honest with you, as soon as I heard that he was out and he was given another opportunity to play in the NFL, I was outraged. I'm like, I can't believe that he's getting this big of a chance.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I also, looked at him
to play again.
Yeah, to play again and make millions of dollars, after all the harm
He's
that he was created.
But he's a great quarterback.
I understand, but let me finish.
Okay,
I was
go.
Totally watching him very closely, and he brought me to his side because I think that this is the perfect example of why America is such a wonderful place because we do have a second chance. Yeah, in my experience, it's been Well, I'm not a pro-Vic necessarily, but I think that he's very talented, and it's good that he's back on track, and I'm happy for him. So, but you know what? I wanted to mention briefly about the reason why we are so crazy about animals and why they're taking over for for our loved ones. I think there's a huge increase in the baby boomer population in the empty
that is true. That's
empty
very
nest
true.
syndrome. Bye bye. You're seeing your family go away, and then you have these older people that are alone.
Yeah, and what about the women who can't have kids, who have
Yes.
I know a woman, she can't have kids, so she has a dog, and I know her. Her dog passed away. She got a new one, but she was crushed.
Aww.
She was crushed for weeks. She was crying, and it was pretty sad. At first I was like, why is she crying? It's just a dog. They had to put it to sleep. I mean, you had to put it to sleep. That's the sad part. But your dog's sick. I'm just like, whatever. But then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Let's take a look at her lifestyle. She can't have kids. That's her child
That
right
is her
there.
child.
And dogs live for 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, they do.
So this has been a part of her it's not like a fish that you've had for a couple of months and, you forgot to feed it and you went belly up.
They depend on you.
You've got to remember that you've had this animal, this living, breathing animal depending on you for everything for the last 15 years.
And I understand that. Like I said, I have a beta fish. And if something happened to Ariel, I would be very, very sad.
Ariel, that's so cute. So I think they're taking the place of loved ones. So if you have a grandma out there and you haven't called her in a while, give grandma a call.
I agree.
Give her some money, please, because she's gonna go buy some serious.
All right, ladies.
$41 billion.
We have to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about children and should parents really let their kids think freely and make their own decisions right after the break.